Everybody, and thank you for joining us this evening. This evening, we're going to be discussing the BBA with a major in public administration. And we are really, really excited to discuss this new qualification with you because it's a brand new program that we are offering at Milpark Education and one that is very much needed in the industry which it serves. My name is Julia Jeska, and I am the program head for the BBA qualifications here at Milpark. And I'm going to be handing over to my colleagues to introduce themselves and maybe give us a fun fact. Where you guys joining it from?
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiangele, and I hail from Pretoria, but I am logging in from Hartbeespoort Dam. I am currently the senior lecturer at the Milpark Business School, and my focus is on public administration. And also, I am doing my PhD in public administration, crossing fingers that I will be done this year. So, yeah, looking forward to a fruitful and thoughtful conversation tonight.
Fantastic. Hello, everybody. My name is Annerie Miller, and I am the HOD or Head of Department here at the School of Commerce, overseeing the BCom programs. And I'm from Bloemfontein in the Free State. And yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you all. And really looking forward to this panel's discussions and hearing from you, Tia, and your expert opinion. What is this qualification all about and what can students do with this qualification? I'm going to hand over now to Annerie to give us an idea of what it means to be a Milpark graduate and what can our graduates expect.
Fantastic. Yes. So everything that we do at Milpark is based on this Blue Pledge. So what this means is when you enroll and when you complete this qualification at the School of Commerce, then our pledge to you is that you will have these attributes that's displaying on the screen here. So first and foremost, you will see there a very important one for us is human first and digitally fluent. So upon completing this qualification, will you not only be digitally fluent, understand digital transformation and be able to use and leverage digital tools for efficiency, but you will also have a very strong human-centered approach to your management style and your decision making. The human first aspect there is very important for us here at Milpark. And you will see this in your engagement with your lecturers and also with fellow students. Yes, so then second, another pledge from our side is that once you've completed this qualification, then you will be a player in the global markets. This is a globally relevant qualification, but you will be equipped to resolve and take on uniquely South African challenges. And we do this by enhancing and fostering creativity, problem solving, resilience, collaboration, and a definite strive towards excellence. Yes, academic excellence, but also personal excellence and professional excellence in terms of the impact that you will have on society upon completion. So this brings me then to what makes the BBA with a major in public administration qualification so unique. Well, the first thing that I just have to say is that this program is 100% accredited. It's an accredited program with a CHE and SAQA. So it is an industry recognized qualification. This also means that once you've completed this 3-year qualification, exiting at NQF level 7, then you can articulate into a postgraduate qualification, such as a PG DIP or an honours in the relevant field at Milpark or any other accredited institution. Now, within the BBA, we've got 5 majors. And we've brought in this major in public administration, specifically to align with your career goals. Our mode of learning is what we call immersive online. Now, this is something that we are very excited about and that we are launching also in 2026. And Julia will be talking to this a little bit later, but what it is a very intentional design of your course materials and your learning experiences with your lecturer and your fellow students to enhance your experience and create meaningful experiences for you. And linked to that is that the curriculum design that we will also touch on a little bit later, it is practical, it is industry linked, and once you've completed this qualification in public administration, your employability would be enhanced. That is the goal of this whole and aim of this qualification is to enhance your employability and your career perspectives. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. And I think let's hear from the future doctor of public administration herself. Tia, would you mind telling us a little bit about what is this qualification all about? What is public administration all about? Enlighten us who don't know public administration beyond our interactions with governments.
No, of course, of course. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Anne-Marie. So as you can see on the screen, it says lead with purpose, govern with impact, and serve with integrity. And really, really, that is just to summarize a few facets of what public administration truly, truly, truly entails. I think, you know, when people think public administration, automatically they go government. And then automatically you go, oh, lack of resources, oh, lack of service delivery, this and this, corruption, fraud, you know what I mean? So there's so much to public administration. And today I truly just want to highlight that I'm going to now focus just specifically on the leadership aspect of public administration, and then also briefly give you an example of what I'm actually talking about. So when we talk leadership, it's quite broad. Leadership, excuse me, is everywhere. It's in the public sector, it's in the private sector, but I always like to say leadership starts with you as an individual. How do you lead yourself before you can lead others? So I always tell my students, find that out, because that will also have an impact in terms of how you talk and engage with others, especially in the work context, specifically in, let's say, the public administration sphere. So in government, we can say leadership, but our leadership is more of looking for the citizens, looking out for the citizens. What do you understand? What are you giving back to the citizens as a whole? So it's not necessarily profit driven, but it encompasses the value system, you know, behavior, transparency, accountability. So you must always ask yourself, where do you really fit into this sphere? So now with this qualification, you'll see that we do have a module, a leadership module, which encompasses a lot, which ties in with, you'll be actually surprised, with economics, communication, the foundations of maths, marketing. It's something that is quite broad and developed, but we also need to remember there are certain frameworks we need to follow. So we are guided by the Constitution. We are guided by the Batupille principles. We are guided by the NDP, the National Development Plans, 2030. So as a government official or a student going into government, you need to always remember there aren't just decisions that you can just make offhand. You need to always go back to your guiding document to say, oh yes, right, this is this. I need to follow rules this way. So for example, let's take the Minister of Home Affairs. He is on a drive on digital transformation. So now, if you've noticed, going to Home Affairs isn't just a long queue that you have to wait in. Everything has become digitized now. You apply for your passport online, your smart ID online. Not only that, but there are decentralized spots where you can go and now collect your passports where it's convenient for you. So another drive, just to give you an example of what he's trying to do, he's got different categories for different visas. So now he's working on remote worker visas. So if you want to go and work in a different country, there's a visa for that. You know, works, startups, there's a visa for that. So let's just also look at how digital transformation is playing a game in technology and how we have to now start adapting to the new norm. Change management has to happen. So we have to let go of the paper-based signing things on paper, submitting it as is. Everything is now, sort of electronic. So what I'm trying to say is with public administration, there is digitization, a lot of it that is actually happening. I mean, we went through 4IR, 5IR, there's AI. So there's a lot that's actually happening. And we are really trying to sort of, keep up with what is happening. Not only that, my last example, not only that, but Home Affairs is actually working hand in hand with social development, because now there are stricter rules in terms of who comes into the country, who goes out of the country. Are you marrying the right spouse? Are you legit? So for example, at SASSA itself, our grant recipients, they are now also moving into the electronic space. Gone are the days where you have your spots where people come with cash and then they go, oh, you're a grandmother, now you need 2,000 Rand. Let's give it to you in cash. Now everybody has to have a mandatory SASSA card. Everything is electronic once again. So that's just some of the case studies that we will use in this qualification. I mean, of course, I always like to say South Africa is a movie. Every day there's something in the news. Switch on the news, there's a case study. We can't go wrong. So trust you me, there will be relevant and very recent scenarios that we will be giving to you throughout our teaching. So yeah, that's just a little bit about public administration, the BBA. And yeah, we look forward to what's to come. I'll hand over then to Anna-Marie.
Fantastic. Tia, thank you. Thank you so much for putting that for us into perspective, and I think what I really take from it is the emphasis on that from your discussion here today on leadership, on things like values, digital transformation, innovation, and the ethics connected to that. So I have a question.
Sure.
What does professionalism mean in the context of the South African public sector?
Sure. So I think, thanks for that question, Anna-Marie. I think we also need to break it down to say, what does professionalism actually mean? Right. So professionalism means, are we on track? Are you in the right position? Are you equipped with the relevant skill? Are you doing what is needed to perform? That's what it means. So now in the context of public administration, there is a drive to professionalize public administration. So now that means that your qualification needs to match what you are actually doing. Your skill needs to match what you are doing. If you need to be equipped with skill, there's adequate training services that are available. There's support. There should be support. So the DPSA, for example, is really highlighting this drive, which is quite important, because as we can see, some of our ministers, well, okay, let me not mention names, but we've got people within government that are not qualified to actually do what they're currently doing. Sometimes we see that it's like, oh, this is just a tick box, When we hear about, oh, there's a reshuffle, cabinet reshuffle, and you go, but that person was at tourism, but now they're in finance, but do they actually have the skill for finance? So that is being worked on. So that's a specific drive that is currently happening in South Africa.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Julia, anything from your side?
I definitely have a question. So, Tia, if somebody's thinking, is public administration for them, what is the industry that the student who graduates with a BBA in public administration is going to be relevant in? What are their options? And really just what is the market for this qualification for students' perspectives?
Okay, so this qualification is actually multifaceted, or it's a multidisciplinary, let me put it that way. I think, Julia, you'll also be discussing the specific modules within the qualification. So with public administration, there is a bit of everything. And I think that's something people don't know. There's elements of finance, we've got our marketing, communication, we've got service delivery, we've got communication. So for those that actually want to pursue a career in public administration, this qualification is definitely for you. So there's plenty of what can I say, careers for this qualification. You can be an academic, you can be a policy analyst, you can be, the list is truly endless. So like I said, it's a multidisciplinary qualification. So, just it's a matter of what do you actually want to do? But the biggest thing is you need to want to have the personality of serving, giving back, doing right, being ethical, being transparent, being accountable. I think that's the biggest thing.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Tia. And I know you said there's no list, but let's take a look at a little list. But I think
Okay.
it also warrants discussion that there's a very small asterisk there at the bottom that says this is not a complete and exhaustive list. Because like you've said,
Absolutely.
career opportunities within this sector are far beyond these few that we've put on the slide. But could you maybe use a couple of these as an example and just explain to us what does this mean?
Okay, all right. So we've got, for example, your local government and service delivery. So that's your municipalities. I mean, we know we've got municipalities all over South Africa. Each municipality has their own developments, and there's also work associated to that. Then we've got policy. So remember I mentioned we are governed by our constitution. Also, we've got so many policies in South Africa, and we've got brilliant policies. It's just that the sad part is that the implementation is what we sort of just need to work on a little bit more. But policy is what drives us. So such as, I mean, policy or public sector analyst, you can go into finance. I mean, finance is also quite broad. And I think it's also one of the biggest components of government. It's how do we use our money? Are we transparent in how we use our money? That's how we know what's there. So for example, each and every government institution is mandated to show their financial reports. They are mandated to be transparent to the citizens. That's why I will emphasize again, if you go into this qualification, you must want to serve. You must want to do. Look at the bigger picture. There is no element of, okay, let me not say the self-interest, push to the side just a little bit. Government finance and auditing, public sector management. You could go in to communications. You could even go into the private sector. Let's not be closed-minded and say, oh, it's only designed for the public sector, because with the components and the modules that we have on this qualification, it can actually lead you to something else. So yeah, there we go. Some of these are just some of the examples that we have.
Thank you, Tia. And I must say, I am so glad for you elaborating on this, because this links brilliantly what you just said, exactly with the skills that our students will be equipped upon qualification, on completion of this qualification. This is exactly what we had in mind when we designed this program. So you will see there skills that we are focusing to develop, also not a complete exhaustive list, but where we focus are on things like fiscal accountability and reporting, digital and business communication, leadership and management, policy design and evaluation. So yes, we do equip you to effectively design policy and understand policy, but also the metrics and evaluation of policy, and then the strategic thinking and problem-solving element of it, where if we need to pivot. So yes, that is the skills that we have in mind, and exactly how we are planning to develop the skills is contained, the secret is contained in the curriculum. Julia, if you don't mind, will you take us through the curriculum?
Absolutely. And I got so excited, Tia, when you said, our policies are really good. We follow the Constitution, but sometimes it's the implementation, because I've been saying that to my law students for years. The law and everything is so good. But what we desperately need is excellent, experienced, knowledgeable people to now implement that. We want them to implement these amazing policies, make sure that they run effectively. And I think that's where this qualification really does build up those skills, Anne-Marie, that you were talking about in the previous slide, because you get that overall ideology. You're not just learning about one thing and you're the expert in that one thing, but you understand the vast landscape that we operate within South Africa, that you're able to see, well, how does this tie in with the law? How does this tie in with economics? And that's what year one is really all about. It's about building those foundational skills, about broadening your understanding of the commercial landscape in general, so that you can then properly function within the public or private sector as in terms of your career goals in pursuing this qualification. So you can see that when we get to second and third year, we start going into a lot more public administration, local governments, public sector economics. I always struggle with that word. And we start going into a lot more of those very much subject matter expertise modules. So Tia, in your opinion, do you think that these modules that have been designed for public administration are equipping students to actually work within these fields? And in what way would you say that?
Absolutely, absolutely, Julia. If you look, I mean, your first year modules are your foundation, sorry. Your foundation modules. And like you mentioned, in second year, that's where we slowly start transitioning into your public administration modules. But when we look at our first year modules, this is everything that we do in government. This is everything that is needed within government. So there's nothing that is lost. So yes, definitely very relevant. Like I said, it's a multifaceted qualification. It's very broad, but the beauty of it is that it touches on all aspects of what public administration entails. And to add to that as well, it's not just about the theoretical aspect of the module, but the way it's designed, it's practical. We won't just be regurgitating information to you to tell you, read this, write, or here's a textbook, what does the textbook say? It's more, let's teach you how to think critically. Let's teach you how to think out of the box. What is your opinion on certain things? There's no right or wrong, but we need to see that there's that critical engagement. So it's definitely equipping the students to prepare them for the world of work. And I think it was also mentioned previously in the slide to say, we work with industry as well. It's industry related. So it's not only, like I've said, textbook or what we know or what we find on the internet. So it's definitely relevant.
Thank you so much. And I love that one thing you said about teaching you to think critically, because that's the one thing that, I mean, we know this is going to change. Policy is going to change in the next 20 years. The government landscape is going to change in the next 20 years. But developing those skills through that application, being able to say, well, this is the situation, how do I deal with it? This is that situation, how do I deal with it? It's those skills of being knowledgeable and understanding the field you're dealing with, but then being able to navigate it, move it in favor of South Africa, that I think is really the big takeaway from this curriculum, is that development. And that's what makes us future-proof, being able to understand exactly what skills are needed that we can apply to various situations as and when they pop up. So thank you so much for that explanation.
Thank you. Just to add as well, is that what we need to also be cognizant of is there's a new generation that is coming in. And we also need to know that they come with their own ideas. Like we mentioned, technology, AI, now it's about working smarter and not harder. So one of the modules that we actually have is change management. How do we adapt to that? So that's also something that we also need to be very, very cognizant of. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Because the only thing that is guaranteed is change.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the only thing we know is definitely going to happen, is that things are going to change. So being able to build those skills and lead other people through those periods is also incredibly important, because I think that's the idea with these qualifications, is that we want people who want to be the future leaders within these fields, and really transform the various industries. And at this point, I'd like to have a look at, well, how do we teach? So we've covered what do we teach, but let's have a look at how will you learn with Milpark. So like Annery mentioned earlier, our qualifications are offered through immersive online. So the School of Commerce at Milpark Education, our BCom and BBA qualifications are all taught through immersive online. Now, what does that mean? It's not just a fancy word, I promise. So immersive online really refers to online learning that you are immersed in. You are guided through every single step of your learning journey. And that guidance comes in various different ways. The way we write our learning material, it's as if a lecturer is teaching it to you. You can understand it in context. You get examples. And so you always feel like even when you are reading alone, you are having somebody there explain it with you. There's also a lot of structured interaction. So there'll be live sessions with your lecturers, and these take place through MS Teams, so you can study from anywhere. You can have your live sessions, which are in the evenings, conveniently after work. And if you, for whatever reason, have to miss one, then there is a recording that is placed on your course page within 24 hours. You can also book consultations with your lecturers. So we have this really cool booking tool where directly from your learner management system, so Canvas, where you learn from, you can book in our diaries a session with one of us to say, okay, cool, I need to understand microeconomics. So I'm going to book a session with my economics lecturer, Annery, and we're going to have a quick half an hour, go over everything that's needed, and make sure that by the end of that, you truly understand what you need going forward and how to study and how to approach your modules. There's also a lot of wellness support to make sure that our students are academically and mentally fit. You know, the one has to power the other. And there's a very collaborative community, because I think that that's one of the things that can often be stressful about online learning is, does online learning mean learning alone? And with us, it most definitely does not. So you can form study groups. We have a peer chat channel where you can talk to your fellow students. You can form those relationships. You can form those study groups. You can chat to your lecturer. There's a function there where you can text us and we can type an answer. You know, maybe you just have a quick question and not something that you want to consult over. And then we also have flexibility. So when we talk flexibility and guided flexibility, is we set you milestones. We say, okay, in this week, we want you to be able to get through this content, do this little practice activity, or debate with your peers about this thing. So you know exactly what you need to accomplish that week. But that being said, you might be a night owl. You might want to do your engagement with your peers at 8 p.m., and that's fine. Your colleagues can respond to you at 8 a.m. the next morning. So it gives you that flexibility where the only real big confine is your final exam, where obviously every student sits for their exam at the same time, but you still do that from the comforts of your own home, and you have loads of notice in advance on which day that's going to be. So when we talk guided flexibility, we mean studying when it suits you, but with those milestones. We're saying this is what you should accomplish this week in order to be successful within the module and really learn, really let that information soak in so that you can apply it within the real world. And that's what immersive online is all about. It's really a fantastic way of learning. And I think the most important thing for us now is just to find out if you guys have any questions for us, anything that you would like to know about Milpark, School of Commerce, this qualification, anything at all. You are more than welcome to raise your hand. And then our producer will be able to enable your microphones. You can turn them on. You can ask us a question. You can also post your questions in the chat or in the Q&A option at the top of your screens. And I think to kickstart us off with some questions, I'm going to ask a question to Annery. As our HOD, can you tell us, when do classes start?
All right, Julia. So I think to start off with, let me take a step back and go to registration. So before classes start, you need to be registered, and our deadline for registration is the 30th of January. So if you are interested to take up this opportunity and join us here at Milpark for this qualification, please make sure that your application and all the necessary documentation is in by the 30th. And then classes will start on the 10th of February.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. And it also is important to note that we do have 4 intakes throughout the year. So we want you guys to start with us in Jan. But if for whatever reason you're unable to get your registrations in by the 30th of January, we do have intakes throughout the year. Then I see Nomfundo's asked a really good question in the chat, which is, what are the options within the BBA suite? And this is a really good question because I want to talk to you guys about the intentional design of the BBA qualifications. So we have a BBA General, which is a general qualification, mostly focusing on management, people skills, leadership skills. We have a BBA in banking, a BBA with a major in HR, a BBA with a major in marketing, and this BBA with a major in public administration. And the way we've designed these qualifications is that your first year is very foundational. So all of the first years are the same because that is the foundation you need in order to operate in any industry. So let's say, for example, you start with a BBA General and things are going well. Then you take the law module, which Julia Jeska happens to teach and is very passionate about. And you realize, actually, this is super cool. I could have a career making policies and trying to really influence the law. It's very easy for you at that stage to then change your major to a BBA in public administration or vice versa. So that's another aspect of flexibility is you don't have to worry about, oh, I've picked this now, but I'm actually not super sure, because there is opportunities to then kind of figure out, what do you really like? What do you really enjoy? What inspires you? And then to really follow that passion, because we know people are most successful when they're doing what they're passionate about. So that is why we've created that degree of flexibility. And then I also saw you mentioned induction, orientation. So for all of our registered students, we will be having an induction session on the 3rd of February, where we take them through everything that they need to know about Milpark. Who do you contact when you need this? What do you do when you have this problem? And we're going to basically take the students through absolutely everything that they need to know so that you're guided from step 1 to step 10. So this isn't so much an induction and orientation. It's just a little bit more information about this new, very specific stream within the Bachelor of Business Administration. Thank you, Nomfundo. I see you are answered. If anybody else has any other questions you would like to ask us, you are more than welcome to raise your hands or post in the chat. We are here to offer you guidance. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. I'm not too sure, Tia, do you have any final remarks, any words of inspiration for our prospective students?
You know, I always say learning or registering for a qualification is a journey. So it does come with its own formulas. It's a roller coaster ride, but it's one that you will truly enjoy. In as much as we say, oh, but studying, but if you have a plan in place and you know why you want to do it, then do it. Do it. Nothing is stopping you. We can't use a narrative of I'm too old to study. I always say either way you are aging, so age with what you want to do. So just have fun and all the best, and yeah, we're looking forward to more engagements regarding this qualification. So thank you.
Thank you, Tia. You just reminded me of my favorite quote, which is, education is the only thing you can buy that makes you richer. And I think
Absolutely.
that's what speaks to it, is that it's just do it because it's the only thing that you can pay money for that's going to make you a richer person with richer possibilities. So thank you for that. And Anne-Marie, any last words for our future BBA students?
Julia, I think I just want to start off with thanking you and Tia for joining us here today and for sharing your expertise, Tia. We really appreciate that. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here today. We look forward to meeting you. So please reach out. Our program managers will be in contact, and we hope to see you in class soon. Thank you.
Thank you all so very much. Thank you, panel. Thank you to our audience. And yes, I will definitely see you guys in your Law for Business Studies module in your first year on your journey to becoming public administrator professionals and really shaping what we know and love and hope to love about the South African government. So thank you all very, very much for joining us this evening, and all the best on your new journey. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.